Hi, I'm Lacey Filipich. I'm the co-founder of Money School, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit more about myself, my background, and why I'm so passionate about teaching people about money. I grew up in Brisbane, that's the capital city of Queensland in Australia for anyone that's overseas. My parents got divorced when I was 8, and from that point on I spent most of my time with my mum. And my mum was responsible for looking after myself. I was 8 from when they got divorced, and my younger sister Megan, who was 6 at the time when my parents divorced. My dad didn't make much of a financial contribution. He was still around to help with parenting, but mum was pretty much at it by herself, which I can imagine now that I'm older was very difficult. Though I have to say, I never felt the lack of money growing up. We were always happy and healthy and well cared for. We always had clothes to wear and shoes for our feet. Our holidays weren't very flash. They were usually a driving holiday to the Gold Coast, maybe once a year. But I certainly felt loved, never felt like I was missing out on anything. I went to the local primary school and I was probably pretty average for that age. And that kind of socio-economic status that you find in the Gap, which is the suburb I grew up in. It was only when I got to high school that I started to understand that we didn't have much money. And that was because I got a scholarship to Brisbane Girls Grammar, which is a private school in Brisbane and quite a prestigious one. So it was a fabulous experience for me, and I'm really grateful that I had it. But I suddenly was exposed to people with a lot more money than we had, with flash houses and flash cars and taking overseas holidays every year, and not really batting an eyelid at the very expensive school fees, which anyone that's sending their child to private school will be able to relate to. So when I was at high school, I also met lots of people whose parents were also struggling, and certainly many of my friends were in that category, where parents were working 2 jobs each to be able to afford to send their children to the school, because it was such a good school and they valued that education. Of course, having friends like that meant that it was normal to start working, and I started working when I was 14 as a gymnastics coach. Turns out I wasn't a very good gymnast, but I was a good coach. And that was a qualified job, so I got excellent pay, much more than the $5 an hour that my colleagues were earning in McDonald's at the time. And I saved a lot of money. I never worked less than 12 hours a week from when I was 14, and I would work 30 hours a week on the school holidays, and I saved over half, maybe as much as 70% of my income during that time, partly because I didn't have anything to spend it on, but also because I'd become aware that having money was important and I wanted to save. I didn't really know what I was saving for at the time, but I'm really glad that I did do that, because when I was 19 and at university, my mother encouraged me to buy my first apartment. I actually had thought of buying a nice car, and I would have kissed all those savings goodbye. So very lucky that my mum, who had been talking to me about money through my teenage years, had encouraged me to do that, because buying that property became the turning point of my life.